It's time for Michigan's retirement coach, Mike Douglas.
And I'm Heather Branch here with Mike, talking about the things that you can be working on now in effort to better prepare for your financial future. LifePlanWealth.com is where you can go to begin your own conversation with Mike and his team. We also have links posted in the show notes. You can click there, or again, visit us anytime at LifePlanWealth.com. So we're going to talk about attitude today. And as a father of four, I'm sure the whole conversation around attitude is one that you and your wife, Kimberly, have on the regular.
Yeah. We never have to address attitudes.
Sure.
It's wonderful.
Wait, how old are your kids?
12, 11, 9, and 7. Okay. 3 boys and a girl.
Right. That little girl of yours is going to be tough as nails by the time she is out in the real world.
She is, you know, those commercials for like sweet and spicy stuff, snacks that are sweet and spicy. Yeah. That's Emmy. She is like, she's the sweetest kid, but at the same time, she can sling it. She can hang her.
She can defend herself. Yeah.
Yes. And she knows how to get at her brothers and how to do the things she needs to get done. So she's a mover and a shaker. That's for sure.
Love it. Love her. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you said Emmy is 7.
Yep.
Let's talk about our new favorite human you and I were talking about before we started recording today. Mildred Kirschenbaum.
Mildred
is just such a goat, as in the greatest of all time. I just love her so much. And we're not the only ones. She is from Florida, where you and I were talking about. She's not from Florida. She's in Florida now. And you'll understand what we're talking about when you hear her accent. She is in Florida, and she has gone viral because she is celebrating her 100th birthday. And she went on this rant about making it to 100. But her attitude is the reason why, because we're all so negative now. And it's not just young people, but older ones too. So here is Mildred.
I have friends who are 20 years younger, 15 years younger, and their attitudes are going to cause them not to survive to my age and not grateful for anything. Their attitude is, I don't see my kids more than once a week, or the food I was served was not good. Their attitude is not acceptable. If the food isn't quite right, so have an extra dessert. If you hear from your children once a week, that's fine. They call you once a week, you call them once a week. Change your attitude. Look at the positive side of life.
First of all, Mildred, with her have an extra dessert, is my kind of people.
Yes. Just have an extra dessert.
Just have an extra dessert. You're fine. Call your kids. If they're not calling you enough, you call them.
You can hear that New York coming through, too. And, it's so great. She's clearly... Kirschenbaum too. So she's like a old New York Jewish lady who's moved to Florida. I mean, that's the stereotype, right? That's the model.
I haven't seen the actual video because I think this is from TikTok. I haven't seen the actual video, but I have this visual in my head of her sitting there in her muumuu and, just with her long nails talking with her hand. I need to look it up because I have a visual and I wonder if it aligns. But, it's interesting because I think that perspective on attitude is so relatable for so many of us. It's so on point for a lot of people. It's like you've got to adjust your thought process and your mindset when it comes to money in particular. So many people have just cattywampus attitude about it, and they can't get their head straight, whether it's fear, whether it's negativity, whether it's bad taste in their mouth from bad advice they've gotten before. Getting people's head right about money is, I'm sure it's one of the biggest things that you have to work on and through with people that come to you.
Yeah, I think for most people, their frustrations, whether it's, fear, anger, it either comes from experiences or lack of information.
Got it.
Most people, when we're presented, we were actually just talking before we came on here about AI tools and all these different things that are out there. There's a chunk of the world that's going to say, I don't know about it, so I don't want to know about it. There's going to be another chunk of the world who says, I don't understand it, so I'm afraid of it. And then there's going to be a chunk of the world who says it's an opportunity, let's utilize it and make it a good tool. And in the same way, when you're talking about financial planning, we're talking about building a retirement plan, you don't have the luxury to ignore it. You can't just not have a plan for it.
Right.
And so we have to address it. But without information, we can't be well informed to make those decisions. And so that's the one side. We need to be educated, but also the attitude. I say all the time in our workshops that your experiences shape your expectations. If you've been through some stuff, you know what you do or don't want to go through again. So if you got crushed in 2007, 8, and 9, you are very hyper vigilant against down markets. If you've really lost because of a bad advisor, or you feel like someone made a lot of money while you made nothing, it really shapes the way you see advisors and the way you see financial advice. And you come in with your guard very up, versus just open to a conversation. Whereas when you have someone who's just been in a 401k their whole life and they've never had an advisor, and they retire and they come to a workshop or they hear the podcast or they see us on TV and they say, oh, this seems like a nice guy. And we sit down and talk and we find out their plans. They come in with a completely different perspective than someone who's let someone else manage their money before. So those things all roll together. And when you start to build out a plan that makes sense, that is longevity based, that is designed to get you through life, you have to have these conversations where you say, all right, where we sit today, what do we want our long-term goals to be, and what short-term decisions can we make based off of that? And you start having this education process. We need to understand the market. We need to understand timing. We need to understand taxes. We need to understand inflation. And once we understand these things, we can start building out a plan. So we can address the fear of the unknown with education. We can address the anger or frustration from past experiences by building safeguards against them. Why do people get upset? Well, my guy lost me money. Because there's basically two reasons you're upset. They either lost you money or they didn't make you money. Right. So I met with someone from our Howell office about 8 months ago maybe. And he was talking about how he was very grateful that his advisor kept him pretty safe in 2020. The COVID crash happened and he says, I barely lost anything.
Okay.
But then he never put me back in the market. So through all of 2021, the market goes up 26% and this guy made about 2.5%.
Got it.
He goes, so yes, you saved me on the down, but you didn't make me any money. So again, his issue wasn't loss. His issue was loss of opportunity, the FOMO, right? He missed out on the gains.
Yeah.
So you've either lost money that you're unhappy with, or you didn't make money when you should have. And if you have safeguards for both, you say, all right, here's how we protect on the down, and here's how we capitalize on the up. With a consistent system that you can trust, all of a sudden it has less to do with the advisor and more to do with the system that's going to run. And you can feel more confident in that too. So the anger goes away, and those all start with conversations. When we have people come in, I always tell them, go to the website, lifeplanwealth.com. When you go there, there's a button that says start your retirement roadmap today. If they click on that button, it shoots me an email and we get a hold of them and say, let's talk, let's have coffee and just hear your experiences or where you come from. Because again, based on what you've been through determines what you do or don't want to go through. So it starts with that conversation. Click the button that says start your retirement roadmap today. And we schedule the time to chat, hear where you come from, where you want to go, and start looking at how it would make sense or what it would look like to build out a plan for it.
Thinking about then the specifics of attitude and just, you were talking some generalities there. Talk about when people come to you. So somebody has feared the worst per se, and then that fear came true in some sort of fashion. They had a big loss. That one gentleman, I think that the idea of fear of missing out, that's definitely a frustration, but it's much scarier to lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or for somebody that has no idea where they are right now, right? They feel like they've worked really hard to earn and save, but they don't know if it's enough, if they're going to make it through. What are those conversations like, and how do you help adjust people's attitude? They come into you, they're nervous, they're scared, and then in that moment you can see that relief happen. I know that you've witnessed it in conversations you've had with folks.
Oh yeah. Well, there's kind of key moments in our process. The first one is when we feel like we truly understand who you are.
Yeah.
That's a key moment for us. And it's not really relieving to the client, it's relief to us.
Right.
Because now once we've identified who you are as a person, what your values and morals are and what you believe in and what you want to see happen. That gives us a great launching point for building a plan. So for us, that's relief.
Okay.
But then for the client or the person who's coming in and having these conversations, it's when we go through and they say, I just don't know what's going on. I don't have a clue. How do I get here? And then as we go through the steps, it's not just that they're just giving blanket trust, but that they understand. And so we always say we move at the speed of understanding. So as we keep going, they get to a point, they say, all right, I get that. Great. Now that you get that, we can build on that principle. And probably the most poignant example I can think of is we had someone who came into us. She's been a client. She and her husband have been clients for a long time.
Yeah.
And they're a wonderful couple, but they're a young retired couple, early 60s. I think he's 62, she's 60.
Oh, they're already retired. Okay.
Yeah. And so they retired young and they're snowbirding and just through a very unfortunate accident. He passed away very suddenly. And he had run their finances. He's run everything for them for a long time. She maintained the home. Actually, she was a nurse for a long time, but then in their breakout of duties at home, he handled the retirement planning. And so she, at a young age, became a widow. And it's different than, you know, The Notebook, where you're both 90, you hold hands and go to sleep and you both die. It's not like that.
Yeah.
This is, we've worked all this time. We were supposed to spend the next 30 years together. And in those moments, life is so much bigger than finances, but yet it revolves around finances.
Yeah.
And so we have these conversations with them saying, hey, as she specifically came in, it was probably 90% just loving on her relationship, spending time with her, giving her someone to talk to. Then the last 10% was, let's talk about some money. And we want to make sure that you're set up and that the things you need to have taken care of are taken care of. Do you know how these bills are paid? Do you know when these bills are due? Do you know when your taxes are due? Do you know how this is all accounted for? So the education, again, it kind of goes back to the same process of we deal with the hard times and then we say, all right, now let's get you comfortable and let's have you meet with our team to keep educating you, get you ready, because now you have new responsibilities you've never had.
Yeah.
And so as we went through it with her, just kind of more and more unfolding, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. You know, come to these events. We have a lot of client events, and really the goal is just to hang out with people and to check in with them, see how they're doing mentally, emotionally, financially, everything. And so just getting back with her over and over again. It wasn't a one meeting. I'd love to say that in one meeting she walked in, she was very sad, and then she walked out and she was happy. That's not the case. It can't be. You just lost your best friend.
Yeah.
And there was so many things she was dealing with in terms of rebuilding her life.
Sure.
And so through that process, it was a matter of, you know, when you're a financial advisor, you're about 70% therapist. Whether it's a married couple and helping them navigate. A lot of times we joke that when someone has been working full time and now they come home full time, it's like you have a new marriage because now you've got two people who have to coexist all the time. And that's one problem. It's a good problem, but it's a problem. Then you have the other where you have two people who plan on spending their life together and one dies suddenly.
Right.
And you have to help navigate those conversations. So part of these things that we do, it's helping them understand and helping them have confidence, because we sleep well when things make sense. We sleep well when our feelings and our finances are congruent. And so helping her map out her plan over the course of a couple months. Again, these were already clients, and yet it still just takes time. It's not a quick fix. There's no Band-Aid you throw on something like that and everything's okay. But yet through the journey, she came out and she's doing a lot better now. But like a lot of things, it goes in waves. You know, if you lose someone you love, it's not just a once I'm over it, I'm over it. No, you go through that all the time. And yet we just kind of have to deal with it, and we go through and just try to live the good moments and remember the good moments and build out a plan that's successful for the future.
Thinking about this second phase of your life after you retire, the kids are grown and out of the house. Perhaps there's now two of you, as Mike was pointing out, having to coexist on a day-to-day basis under one roof, and understanding where you're headed from a financial perspective. I really like that line. It's so poignant, Mike. You said now you have new responsibilities, and those responsibilities are so different for each individual. So thinking about where you're headed, understanding that you have a plan in place to lift you up in these years ahead. That is what Mike and his team are here to help you figure out. Again, if you have questions, Mike and his team are here to help you get some answers, and you can get started today. Visit us at lifeplanwealth.com. There's the button right there on the top of the page. Start your retirement roadmap today. You can click there to begin your conversation. We also have links in our show notes. Or again, you can visit us anytime, lifeplanwealth.com.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit lifeplanwealth.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.